least I hit play. Because this is something I've wanted to do for a while, because I like shooters a lot. And generally speaking, on the internet, you don't see people casually playing this sort of thing. It's like Beat Mania. You can only find like the highest difficulty, the craziest stuff, people being good at the game.
Not a lot of just workmen like, hey, I'm just playing a game I enjoy.
Yeah, and I've not that good at this. I've played a bit. I did get to stage 5 of 6 on 1 credit once. I probably can't redo that, but that's pretty good. Oop. I was going to talk a bit about the characters, but the game doesn't. This arcade game doesn't let you just sit on the select screen for your ship forever, because then you would use up the arcade and steal all the money from the operators. I mean, luckily it's pretty straightforward. You shoot things, and there's different characters that like. I'm going to use the one that's more focused, because I just kind of happen to like that sort of character. But there's another one that you can kind of aim the bullets that's not so good, and then the other one that specializes more in, I guess, like a spread out gun. Yeah, I kind of just chose this because Cave are like one of the biggest shmup people, and when I first started getting into them, I went on the Something Awful forums and just looked at the thread, and DoDonPatchi was kind of like, yeah, this is what you should play. And all I played at that point was like, I mean, old games, of course, but in the modern sense, was I played a few Tohos.
Okay. I feel like this is the sort of game that I've always seen in arcades, and I've played a lot of them in arcades, but I never remembered what they were or anything about them other than they looked really good and they were like this.
Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty, I mean, this game looks cool and everything. You've got good stuff. You've got giant lasers coming out of my ship. But there's not, like, there's just spaceships and tanks and stuff. The story is literally that there are mechanized aliens and you have to go shoot them. But then and this isn't going to happen, but the second loop of the game is if you beat the game on 1 credit and do really good, your commander guy is actually evil, and all the dudes you've been blowing up have just been your guys.
Oh, wow.
And so now you have to fight him, and then at the end it reveals that, you've solved all the world's problems, like overpopulation, because you just killed everyone.
It's a nice optimistic game.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I think this is also pretty... Like, a lot of the basic things you'll find in most shmups are here. You've got bombs, got some weird scoring system. Well, you might not always find these items-based scoring systems, but basically, sometimes you'll see a bee on the ground, and you gotta activate your laser, and as long as the top of the laser touches that bee, you can collect it, and there's 13 in every level. Alright. I'm gonna feed in a bunch of credits for when I need them.
I guess that is the nice thing about these arcade games, is you don't have to worry too much about, the Brigador problem where you die, then all of a sudden your stream's over.
Yeah, this is how I like to play a shooter generally. Is just kind of go through it and see how well you can do, how well you can score, whatever you like. I don't worry too much just about seeing stuff. I'm more worried about just how far I can get in one go, but I like practicing the whole game, because that feels better than having to restart the same level over and over again. And that's what I'm saying, like, again, the shooters have well, not for no reason. They have a reputation for being hard because they are, but it doesn't have to be this crazy thing. Every single time. That's why I want to play some of the more famous ones on, like, the low difficulty, where sensible people might be able to make some progress. It doesn't always have to be the max difficulty.
Yeah, I appreciate a game that can try to cater to multiple people. That's pretty cool.
I do enjoy it. There's some more recent cave games that have like weird stories and stuff. Like I like Death Smiles a lot, but it's got a lot of weird, gross anime people in it.
I didn't actually know that was a shooter. Huh.
Yeah, it is. It's side on. You go around. I like it. It's probably my favorite cave game personally. But again, really weirdly sexualized young girls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just kind of. I've had the shooter bug more and more lately, which is one of the reasons I started doing it up. Like it's just a thing I can do for like half an hour at a time, you know? Like
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, 30 minutes is like my ideal length for one of these things.
Yeah, I'll sometimes load up. Don Mako Unlimited too. I'll load that up for like 10 minutes at a time. Play a couple rounds and just go do something else.
Yeah, it's nice for that kind of thing. I was really glad because I played that game and I thought this seems like a good entry point for the genre, but I couldn't really be sure because it wasn't an entry point for me. So I recommended it to you and it seemed to work out. So I was happy to hear that it did what I thought it would do.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I had a bunch of background games like Audio Surf and things that weren't shmups, but they had a lot of the same skills as shmups.
Yeah.
So it was pretty easy to be like, oh yeah, okay, I see what I'm doing here.
Yeah, that's kind of what it goes in. And there's different kinds of shmups too, which is another thing I kind of want to show off over time. Because like I think a cave game and a Toho game, they're like a couple of the most popular, biggest names in the modern scene, and I think they do stuff pretty differently.
Yeah, this might be me just not knowing enough about the Toho games, but I feel like cave shooters probably are a lot more fun to somebody who's not already really good at the genre.
It could be the case. It depends too, because the Tohos also have like a very variable level of difficulty. Some of them are designed to be easier, some of them are designed to be harder.
Maybe it's getting at that thing I said earlier about how I look at this game you're playing and I think, oh, I've never played it, but this is a lot like games I played when I was a kid. So
Yeah, I can see that. This is definitely, if you've ever played stuff in the arcade or growing up or whatever, this is what you would expect. Some nice. It looks nice. It sounds really good. All that stuff, but it's kind of standard in that way.
Yeah, I want to shoot a battleship and have it start just ejaculating gold bars all over the screen.
Yeah. As a battleship does.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there's a lot of gold you pick up from flying objects in the genre in general. Sometimes it's metals.
There was a game, I'm trying to remember what it was called. Yeah, the one I played the most of the local arcade had. You chose from a bunch of different pilots, and one of them was a dolphin.
God, what's that called? Aero Fighters, I think. Because yeah, I remember the dolphin. I played one of those. I haven't played any of the regular ones. I've just played one that was like for the N64 and was like more of an Ace Combat kind of a flight sim. But of course, I remember because of the fact that there's a dolphin just piloting a plane, which is great.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it was definitely Aero Fighters. It might have not been at the arcade. I might have just rented it. Huh.
I'm pretty into any game where you can play as a dolphin just in general. Echo, Wave Race.
Everything. You can, in fact, be a dolphin in that game, even if you just sort of like float around the ocean.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, it's called everything, and I would think that a dolphin falls into the subcategory of things, so it follows naturally that you would be able to play as a dolphin. I think is when it starts getting significantly tougher.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't done too bad. I mean, I've used some credits and whatever, but it's generally pretty good.
What is the meter in the upper left that keeps going down?
I think I didn't do probably as much research as I should have on the mechanics. I think that's just the combo. As you can see right underneath it, I've got 100 and whatever it is on your screen now hits. But I think when when that meter runs down, then your combo resets. And that's one of the things you got to do to get the second loop. It's like one of either lose 2 or fewer lives, get a certain combo size, or find all 13 Bs on at least 4 levels.
Yeah, this is something I noticed where they kind of gave the difficulty between, like, a game like this is probably still going to be fun for somebody that's not good at this type of game, but you're, like, with John Mako, I noticed the way they do the scoring, if you're playing extremely well versus just having a good time, your score is wildly different. To the point where, like, people that are just kind of playing casually will never put in the same type of score as somebody that's really good at it.
Yeah, and it's definitely, it's become a niche genre over time. For like it was the NES, the console days when you just had them all over the place. So as a result, there's definitely more emphasis on that sort of crazy play.
Well, it felt like for the NES Famicom era, like, went to a flea market and got this random unlabeled, unlicensed NES card. It probably had a shoot 'em up on it.
Yeah, completely. It was a big deal. Now I get, eventually it was first-person shooters. Now it's probably like open-world games fitting that niche.
Tower climbing simulators.
It's just, here's the thing that's popular and you see a lot of right now. There's definitely a lot of weird, old, like, Data East stuff I want to try out. That's the thing. Part of this is just an excuse to play really weird games I've heard about, but maybe haven't tried.
Yeah. Yeah, like, seeing you play this, and, like, whenever I load up MAME and I start just loading in... The thing I do is I just got a MAME ROM set off of archive.org. So I don't know 99% of the games I have. No idea what they are. So I'll just go into, like, giantbomb.com and I'll look up shoot 'em ups by Cave or by so-and-so and just see, like, oh, this is a game. Look it up, play it, have a great time. And all of that is making me really, really, really want to get again.
Yeah, and I've got a bunch of those Hardcore Gaming 101 books that I'm going to have to go back through for ideas for ones to stream, because I've gotten a bunch of ideas from them.
It's kind of weird, like, how huge this market is versus how... I feel like you don't really see these games where... Like, I know, like, during the SNES era, there's a ton of this stuff. Like, yeah, I don't know, like, I felt like I only ever saw, like, 1942 and, like, 1 or 2 other games in, like, 8 episodes.
Yeah, I guess part of it is I think the market is bigger in Japan, but also it's like a really dedicated fan base that kind of knows. You see stuff all the time on Steam now.
Oh, yeah. I just bought 4 shoot 'em ups.
Yeah, I've got a few in my cart for whenever I pull the trigger on the Steam sale. There's all stuff I want to play too, like Crimson Clover is really great. All the Altenexes are really good. And have like an insane plot. Like the second Altenex game. Like I saw Altenex 2nd on your list.
Yeah, I bought that trilogy.
So that's weird because it's the first game chronologically with the last one to come out, because they're in reverse chronological order and it makes no sense. The second one is Reflex. That game has, right before the last level, it just dumps like pages of exposition on you.
Oh, wow.
And it makes no sense. It has nothing to do with anything that's been going on. It's incredible.
Okay, the thing I got was the trilogy.
Oh, right. Okay, that was it. You got all 3. Okay, that's good. Yeah, so they're all very, very good. And they all kind of go weird at the end.
I got my eye on Ikaruga, but I've never actually played more than the demo.
Yeah, Ikaruga, amongst like the shmup grognards, they don't like it very much. First of all, because it's just kind of memorization based, although honestly, they like Mushihima-sama, which is also completely non-deterministic. But also because it's like got this reputation in all the games magazines of, oh, this is so hard, this is the biggest hardcore, but it's not really that hard. It's a pretty reasonable game. As much as I love Treasure, the shooters aren't my favorite thing they did. Got issues with Radiant Silvergun too.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever played any of their games.
Yeah. They had a lot of good stuff. They have, you know, I mean, the Genesis stuff is sublime. You want to get that Gunstar Heroes.
Oh yeah, I haven't played that. Okay, yeah, I've heard of Treasure.
Bangayo, all sorts of crazy stuff. I should actually be switching vehicles. I kind of haven't been thinking about it. Not like there's not a huge difference between them in this game.
And is this something you can only do in continue?
Yeah, you can do it on a continue. Like whereas in some games you'll get like really different characters and styles of play.
Oh yeah.
You got 3 ships, and then you can choose either want your shots better or your laser. And usually, I want a laser because that's what I'm going to use on bosses, and that's where the damage matters more to me. Oof.
Oh yeah. That's one thing I found out with John Monte is that because they make you spend those points to make your own builds, it's sorry guy there. Because you have to spend points to make your own builds, it can be kind of confusing when you first start out. So I appreciate a game that gives you like, oh yeah, here are your 3 ships. They're pretty much the same, but enjoy.
I'm gonna try, yeah, okay. Yeah, there's merits to both. It's all good. A few games that have like tons of crazy options. Blanking on the name of the game that it was inspired by, but there's a Sign Mora, the weird-ass shooter with the incredibly bleak story that was put out by Grasshopper Studios, where they just have a big grid for like every combination of weapons and stuff you can have in the game, and each of them has their own individual. Then there are dozens, and they each have an individual high score and everything.
Oh wow!
Don't incredibly like that game, but it is pretty audacious.
Hey, Lords of the Fallen is $5.
They're $5. There's a story mode you can play through. The main problem is that the highest difficulty for story mode is pretty easy, like it's fine. But then when you want to get into arcade mode, the only difficulties available are very, very hard.
Gotcha.
And because of its weird health system, it'll kind of be like, oh, you got hit once, you're screwed, but not for, a few minutes. You just get to kind of go along and pretend you have a chance.
That sounds right. I hate things like that.
Yeah,
I think that was one of my favorite things about Player Unknown's Battleground. You die real quick in that game, whereas a lot of those other games like Rust and DayZ and stuff, you're kind of like, you're dead, but you're still walking for potentially like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's almost like, MOBAs have that problem, at least in some cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird system that it's got. Maybe doesn't entirely work at a high level of difficulty.
What would you say is either the best or your favorite shmup scheme?
Sorry, best.
Either the best or your favorite shmup scheme.
Shmup like makers?
Like individual.
Individual game, man. Probably the one I have, I'm thinking of doing after this, Imperishable Night, that's Toho 8. And that's probably a little bit of, nostalgia to it, because, when I first got into it, I would play, I think, 7, and then 6, and then for some reason that was the one that really hooked me. Partly because there's a lot of stuff in it, and it's kind of easier than the 2 that came before, so it was right at the right level for me.
It is astounding how hard it is to not play those games in America. To actually buy that game and pay the developer money is a little bit of an ass.
Yeah, yeah. I've never. I mean, I would like to give money to the guy who makes them. It's really hard to do. I guess he's still doing okay. There's a new one of those coming out like in 2 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just a good basic one, which is nice because the last one I have. You say he took inspiration from "I Want to Be the Guy."
Ooh.
And it's not quite like not quite as horrible as that could be, but I still kind of fundamentally didn't get it because when you get hit, you restart like that section, and it's really hard. But you can just retry it as many times as you want. Except you get a little weaker every time you get hit.
Oh, weird.
So if it takes you a lot of tries, which it will, then it just starts getting harder and not easier. That kind of fundamentally made me not want to play it.
Yeah, I can understand that. Games got to be fun to play. Or interesting, if not fun. As soon as I said that, I immediately thought of Darkest Dungeon, which I don't know if it's fun or not.
Yeah, it's something. It's a kind of fun. It depends on your definition of fun. It's very stressful fun. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm at least aware. Yeah, I'm gonna try the last ship I have in here because I think it's the final boss I'm going to see, even though there's that whole second loop and a 7th level, but I doubt I'll ever be good enough to actually reach it. We won't solve the world's overpopulation problems by killing everyone.
Well, I really appreciate a game that has like a long tail of difficulty like that, where if you really want to, you can just keep playing that one game for ages.
Yeah, I love that. And that's a thing you can definitely do with any shooter, or any good one anyway.
You were saying that Mushi Hime-sama was a good game?
Yeah, that one's pretty good. That one's very tough. That's another cave game where you're fighting bugs.
Oh, okay. I'm going through my Steam wish list right now. I'm looking at all the shooters on there, being like, oh, okay, so it's $8.
That's good. Definitely a good price.
Yeah, but Denmaku 3 is $5, so I'm gonna get that.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Yeah, and I'm looking at all these old adventure games that, like, Vinny played on Giant Bomb once. And, oh wow, I'm just seeing your guy show up on stream, and your boss does not look like a very good man.
Yeah, well, he's evil, as we know. Also, the translation is very bad, and that's very funny. In the real ending with that I've talked about, it spells the word towns as like TOWUNS, which is one of my favorite things in the whole world.
And I like that the guy just walked right. He looks like he walked right out of a recruitment ad for the Principality of Zeon. That's great.
Yeah, so that's at least a let's say a cross section of this game of DoDonPatchi.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, and it's special just because it's very solid. There's no gimmick here really. There's very little story. It's all just kind of this is good because it's good to play and it feels good and it sounds good.
Yeah, it looks great.